What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. With me this go around are the reigning NWA World Women's Tag Team Champions, the first individuals to officially hold these titles since the 1980s. They are Allysin Kay and Marti Belle, collectively known as the Hex. Allysin and Marti, how are you both doing tonight?
We're doing awesome. I wanted to speak for both of us. Like we're doing
Yes,
great.
it's gonna be tricky not being able to see each other
Yes.
to
Yeah.
see when the other one's gonna start talking.
Yes.
I say I'm actually
But we're
trying to.
doing great.
I say I'm actually trying to do. I'm gonna try to do somewhat of a decent job with that as an interviewer. But I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. As we're all recording this, it is almost midnight, and Allysin and Marti were very gracious with their time to come and record this with me. So I very much appreciate it. But as we're recording this, you guys are like several months out from one full year as NWA World Women's Tag Team Champions. For you two to be in the position that you are as like the new era faces of these belts for this long period of time, does it make the initial title win that much special? I'll kick it over to Marti first, and then Allysin, you can follow up.
Oh, it definitely is super, super special. When we formed this team, we didn't know what our plans were. We knew that we wanted to work together and we knew that we wanted to travel the world together and we just didn't know how we were going to do it. We just knew that we were going to. So to be holding these titles, coming up close to a full year and successfully defending them as many times as we have. We've been fighting champions who have been defending them as often as possible. I dare say that we might be the ones who defend the NWA titles in general the most. So it has
Mm-hmm.
been pretty incredible and just an amazing experience to be able to do with Allison.
Yeah, I feel it's so crazy to me that it has been almost a year because I swear Empower feels like it was 3 months ago. But then I remember 3 months ago we were in Europe, so it's all going so fast. But I think that is because we're actively defending them all over the world. Literally, we just defended them in England for the very first time that those titles were ever defended over in Europe,
Mm.
and that was a very exciting thing to do. And so, I mean, we're gonna have to have a special 1 year anniversary in August.
Oh yeah.
I say y'all on the streak right now is as you both mentioned, man, straight. I think it's 11 straight successful title defenses that you guys have had, and at the NWA Always Ready pay per view on I believe June 11th, you'll be defending the titles against Ella Envy and Kenzie Page, a rematch from the Crockett Cup show. Allysin, for you, it's like that. Is it sort of like that inner feeling to want to top what was done at the Crockett Cup? You know, considering that you guys do have the same opponents from that previous event, and I'm assuming that you, of course, you would want to try to one up what you did at the previous show or the previous match.
Oh, definitely. It there is a level of comfort knowing that you are already sort of familiar with your opponents going into something, as opposed to when you're facing someone for the first time. This is also not even the second time we faced Kenzie. I mean, we
Mm.
just faced Kenzie and Maddie. So Kenzie's kind of been, playing musical chairs with her tag team
Hmm.
partner over there. So, I mean, we are very familiar with Kenzie. We've only been in the ring with Ella once, but we beat them once and we know that we're going to beat them again. But yes, there is that level of wanting to top what we did last time. Absolutely.
And Marty, you said that earlier this year you guys did hit the UK. I think that was for Pro Wrestling Eve. You guys won the tag belts, but I think you guys had like lost them like the very next day. Regardless of that, how much did you enjoy being able to travel the world and have these different experiences alongside Allison? Such as winning the Pro Wrestling Eve tag team titles.
Oh my goodness, just that whole trip was so amazing. Because we ended up going to the UK. We defended the NWA titles, and on the way also picked up. It doesn't matter how long we held them for. What matters is that we held them.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to focus on here. So we did go overseas and we won those titles there, and then we took a hot little jump over to France and did a Hot Girl Twitch
Oh.
for AK's Twitch stream, and just got to enjoy Paris for a few days. Then went back to the UK, had some more matches, and hopped over to Spain. We were going to Portugal, and for travel issues, unfortunately, we were not able to make it to Portugal. But just being able to travel the world with my best friend and getting to do such cool things and experiencing so many amazing things. There were so many moments that we talked about where, like, man, if we weren't here together, like this would not be as fun as it is. And spending an entire month with somebody on the road and
Yeah.
realizing how much you still love each other is very, very special. Like that, that's very rare. And it's I know that we're both very fortunate to have each other in these adventures.
Did you
Yeah,
guys?
if we were not a strong team, like that was the test right there.
Oof,
Yeah.
yeah.
If we did not have that strong bond, it would have been broken during those 4 weeks. Not even just, going to a hotel in the UK. We were pretty much like backpacking through Europe
Mm.
together.
Hmm.
I know that's pretty cool, especially considering that you guys do have a tight bond. So I'm pretty sure that makes it, even more enjoyable to actually be like traveling the world and have these different experiences with somebody that you genuinely do get along with. So I'm sure that's cool. Did you? I know you guys hit Rep Pro too as well. Like, did you throughout your your travels in the UK and Europe? Did you guys get to do any special sightseeing, or was it just go mode the whole time?
Well, we did a lot of
Yes.
racing. We did wrestle for Rev Pro. We also wrestled for Pro Wrestling Eve, like you already mentioned. And yes, it doesn't matter how long we held the Pro Wrestling Eve Tag Team Championships. It's going on the Wikipedia, and that's all that
For
matters.
sure,
Okay.
for
Correct.
sure.
But yes, we saw a lot. I think we really do a good job in general, even in the States, of really trying to take advantage of when we're able to travel and going to see things because it sucks when you're just in town for one night and you just go to the show, then you go to the hotel, and then you fly the next morning, and people are like, "Oh, you went to LA, you went to New York City. Did you go get to do anything?" And you're like, "No, I just wrestled the
Went to
show last
bed.
night, went to sleep." Exactly. But I think we do a good job of doing that even over here. And we definitely did a lot of that over in Europe when we went to Spain, especially, and Paris, because those were two pretty much like vacation spots that we hit while we were
Yeah,
there. We didn't actually wrestle there.
Hmm.
We did end up doing a seminar last minute in Spain because they were gracious enough to have us when our Portugal plans got canceled.
that's cool. That's real cool. Did you guys enjoy being able to sort of pass on your knowledge, to the talents that are up and coming over there? I'm pretty sure I'm
Oh,
pretty sure that'd be a cool experience.
it was such a great experience. There we were. It's so funny because one of the kids that we followed, like he just popped up on my stories on my like Instagram on my feed the other day.
Mm.
Actually, I think today, and I was like, man, like I'm so happy for these kids. There's so much hidden talent that, like, especially Spain just doesn't really have the opportunity. They finally have their first like Spain like Spanish born wrestler who's currently in NXT, and he's like the first one that was actually able to leave Spain and be signed by a major company.
Yeah.
And I think that's so big. There is so much talent that's hidden away that the world just doesn't get to see because they just don't have those eyes. And so for us to even know that we have, even if it's like just the smallest grain of sand that we have in the future of these kids, like it was so incredible. They were so gracious. They were so even the ones that were like super shy and were very new and like even hadn't even had matches, they gave it their all. And it was really cool to see some of the personalities kind of come out as we got to work with them. And that was really, really exciting. And I know it was very fulfilling. And it was such a, because we literally left the next day, so
Mm-hmm.
it was such a great way to end our trip. And I think it was just kind of like, it definitely just reminded us like why we love wrestling so much, and seeing what the future holds, because some of these kids were literally like 15, 16, 16 years old. And so just seeing what the future of pro wrestling is like really made us really happy, and we're looking forward to being back soon.
Yeah, say Marty.
Wasn't one of them 11?
$11.
The girl, yeah, the
The
girl,
girl,
Wow.
right?
yeah, the girl was 11.
We were
Yeah,
like,
she was
we were
11.
like, you better take care of her.
Yeah,
Yes, we're
for
like, this is
sure.
your little sister, you will take care of her. But
Eh,
I mean, it's crazy because whenever you go to Europe in general, I feel like kids start training. Obviously there's kids here in the US like Billy Starks that
Yeah.
have started young, but meeting like a 16-year-old or a 19-year-old who's like, oh yeah, I've been wrestling 7 years, and I'm like, excuse me, what? Like,
Yeah,
do
I
you
know,
know
right?
how old that is? Like, it's so insane. And to see the amount of talent that some of these people have that is just so untapped is, it's frustrating because you want the world to like see them. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we feel that way about people in the US as well. So it was a great experience. I definitely would say, getting to work with those kids.
As you mentioned it, I know that's kind of crazy because like you often hear stories from those within various promotions, like like a Tony Storm, and she talked about how she's
Oh
started
yeah.
started wrestling.
Mhm.
She was like 15, 16 years old and like had like 4 years of
Mhm.
experience already at that point. You hear from like people like Pete Dunne, even Nick Wayne, who's on the independent scene right now, who's
Oh yeah.
16, and he got signed to AEW, which is
Mhm.
real cool, man. But so I know you kind of just touched on it, Marty, but like seeing all these talents that's in these different areas of the world, but just they just don't have the like sort of that exposure. Like I know you sort of did touch on it already, but like sort of further elaborate on how sort of crazy that is that there is just these abundance of wrestlers like in just these different parts of the world, man. But they like it just seemingly they just need that sort of one person or maybe even a set of people to sort of just catch them and just be like, hey, or even just throw their name out there to somebody else, and that could sort of be the catapult to them sort of breaking out, like you mentioned, with like A Kid did from Spain.
I think the
I
internet is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
mhm.
for
Yep.
sure, for sure.
And I think
Oh, you go ahead, Marty.
also it's like you said, it's about mentioning people's names. It's about when the opportunity comes up, if there is ever an opportunity, we they these kids made such an amazing impression on us that if the opportunity ever came up, whether we're in the UK and they're looking for some Spanish talent, or they're uh, somebody in the US is looking for talent, or they're wanting to come over, we will gladly say their name. You always want to say people's names, like, we've gotten opportunities because people have wanted to say our names.
Mm,
And so I think that that's very important. That's huge to, and even something, and we talked about this with them too, even something as simple as like commenting on the stuff that they post, so that they're encouraged.
yeah.
Because when you feel like maybe you don't have a ton of followers, or you don't have a ton of eyes on you, you feel like, am I just shouting into an empty room? So
Mm-hmm.
that encouragement. And we told them, like, hey, anything you guys need, like, please, like, feel free to text us, or message us. Their coaches, his name is Jeffrey, uh, and he's great, and I know he does a great job with working with all the kids. And they have such a great thing going, and it's very, very exciting to see where their career will be in 5 years.
For sure, for sure. And it's something else that I think is really cool about you two is like sort of rewinded a bit before I get to the point. Like back in November 2020, I know both of you had announced your free agency after your contracted time with the NWA had came to an end, and then you went your respective ways. Allison, I go to you first, and then I come back to you, Marty. But like, what does it say about the professionalism from both sides? To have exited the organization, of course, in a respectful way, and then come back around full circle, and now both of you are like the head honchos of the women's tag team division.
I think it definitely speaks to, it's a testament to not burn bridges,
Yeah.
first and foremost. But yeah, I think it does say a lot that we both went our own ways. We parted ways with NWA publicly,
Yeah.
and Billy was still like, "Hey, I still believe in you.
Yeah.
You know, we want you guys to come back." And it definitely speaks a lot to our talent and our character.
Yeah. My mom has always been very, like, adamant about things like that. She always says, like, if you're gonna, it makes a lot more sense in Spanish, but like, tienes que salir por la puerta grande. Like, if you're leaving somewhere, you have to go out through the main door. Like,
Mm.
and basically that's just, yeah, don't burn a bridge. Like, I guess you don't really say burn bridges in Spanish, but that's a nicer way of saying that. Yeah, you don't no quemas los puentes, but that's like a nicer way of saying that. And I think uh you know we both have known Billy for a very long time, since our time at Impact. I worked very, very closely with him at Impact. That's where I met
Mm.
him, because of the Dollhouse. So it's a relationship that has been cultivating for 10 years at this point, almost. Yeah. No, maybe not. Maybe like 7 or 8 years. It's a relationship that's cultivated. And when we chose to leave the NWA, it was a decision that we weren't sure what was going to happen with the world, or where
Right.
things were
Right.
going to go. So to see everything come back full circle, you don't burn bridges. You keep relationships. And if people are good to you, then you're good to them back. And I think that we are a very true testament of that right now.
For sure, for sure. I couldn't have said it better myself, man. Because there are some people that maybe don't take those like public X as well in terms of it being addressed publicly. But I really like the way that things were handled. And it's very cool to see you guys back. If I'm not mistaken, I think you two started wrestling or had your first matches around, I want to say 2009 or 2008. And I was doing a little bit of research, and I saw that you both made your Ring of Honor debuts the same year, like just several months apart. You were like in the same circles over at WSU early on in your respective careers. Allison,
Yeah.
Allison, talk about those early days with Marty, and how early on did you know that you guys were sort of going? But did you know like right away there was like that instant chemistry there, and you guys would become as cool as you are, or did it take a little bit of that process of getting to know one another?
It's so funny because I feel like we've told this story so often recently. I do want to circle back really quick to the last thing because I did want to say, just for the record, I just want to go on the record and say I do think that some bridges deserve to get burned to the ground.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just for the
I
record,
mean, yes, yes,
context
correct.
context is always important.
For
But
sure.
anyway, um, yes, Marty and I were told by a mutual friend that we were going to love each other. Long story short, she was right. I don't think she realized where it's going to lead to today. But yeah, we instantly clicked, and it really, like, we always stayed in touch. I think Marty, you told this story last, so now it's my turn to tell it. Let's see if I do the
Yes, I'm taking notes.
same. So we instantly clicked and we knew that we got along, but it wasn't until Marty moved to Ohio and we were driving to WSU together. And I think the other girls, for whatever reason, I don't remember why. Normally, Jessica Havoc and Sassy Steffi were in my car when I drove to the East Coast to go to WSU. And for whatever reason, they either weren't there or maybe I knew they wouldn't have driven separately. So I can't recall why they weren't there. But Marty and I were going to be driving together alone for the first time. And I know that we were both kind of nervous. I don't remember being as nervous, but I know Marty said that she was like, oh, damn, like, I hope this isn't awkward riding for like, I think from Ohio to New Jersey and New York, what was it, like 7 or 8 hours?
It's 8 hours from, yeah.
Yeah, so I had to drive like 2.5 down to her, and then we drive 8 hours to the East Coast.
Mm.
And we were like, when you don't know someone that well, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Start fighting, but is it going to be like, is it just going to be dreadful? Are you going to be like, oh my gosh, it's taking forever and it's
And for
awkward?
the record, I didn't think it was gonna be dreadful. I
Okay.
probably just thought like, am I gonna be able to shut up, or and is she gonna kick me on the side of like high, like 80? That's more, I think, what I was concerned
Oh,
with. But yes,
you were worried about talking too much?
probably yes, because I don't shut up.
Like I
I
said,
feel like anytime I've ever had to be in a car with someone I didn't know too well, I was always just worried that there was going to be like awkward silence.
yes,
The
But that
awkward
also,
silence.
I
was just
think
about to
that's
say
also
that.
like, I think that also speaks to our different personalities, though.
Yeah.
Marty, I do like to talk, but I don't talk as much as Marty in general. I'm more of a quiet person, I'd say.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but when we went on this road trip, we talked the entire time. We didn't listen to music one time. We didn't get coffee, which in retrospect, that part was weird because like
That's
I
insane.
I live off coffee, so I don't know how we didn't get energy drinks, but we were just like so into the conversation, I guess. The whole way there, the whole way back, I get to Marty's driveway in Cleveland, and we sat there and talked for like an hour in the car.
Mm.
So I think that was when it's like, did we just become best friends? That kind of thing.
100%. Yes.
And then I remember when we worked together at Impact specifically, there was a picture I think I sent to you recently, Marty, where I was
Yeah.
like, this is the night that I remember we were like, we are best friends. And I don't remember exactly why. I have a vague memory of that night, but I know it was at Impact tapings and we were both wearing dresses. That's
Wait,
my
no,
memory.
we weren't wearing dresses.
The picture that I sent you, I was wearing a dress.
I was, and I was wearing a one piece. I was wearing the green one piece and jean
Oh,
shorts.
okay. We're
Yes.
sat down in the picture, but I know
Yes. Yeah.
I said
Yes.
the thing
But
that
for sure, yes, I remember that.
the thing that's coolest about you guys like doing the interview is like I like how you guys like have your like you guys just like naturally gravitate into conversation. I think that's cool. Like I can tell
I
that
know
y'all are
we're
like
acting like
genuinely
we're acting
friends.
like there's not a person
Yeah.
interviewing us
No,
here.
no, it's
We're
cool
like, oh
though.
no, actually remember that. Oh no, I was wearing this, girls. Yeah,
No,
yeah. I feel like it's just we have a very like we have natural chemistry. We have a chemistry like because there are people that I have been very good friends with that I did not have good matches with. Like
mm,
that's not always it's not always the case of like having chemistry in the ring when you have chemistry outside of the ring.
right.
We have just been very very fortunate to know that that we have that chemistry in and out of the ring.
Right, and mentioning that chemistry in and out of the ring, like the one thing I do like about the history of the Hex is like collectively, like you guys do have a handful of matches against each other as well throughout the years. The NWA Women's Title match that you guys had at the Alwayz New Japan War, the World Show. Doing your thing on NWA Power, where Marty had a line with Thunder Rosa for a little bit. My my.
I don't remember that.
but Marty talk to
We
me
don't
about.
talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
But Marty, talk to me about the versatility that you and Allison are able to bring to a
But
pro wrestling product. Whether it be as a team or rivals.
what's interesting? Going back to what I said about mentioning someone's name. So before NWA Power started, the last event before NWA Power was that Chicago show that Ring of Honor show,
Mm,
and Allison actually said my name. They asked her, "Who do you want to face for the title at this show?" And she said my name.
look at
She
that.
mentioned me, and so they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll bring her." And like me and Allison had literally faced each other once in singles competition before then. So once again, like she brought my name up. Billy was there, and I got to cut a promo. I got to do one in Spanish. I got to do one in English, and kind of just like talk about like why the NWA is important to me, and like why this title is important to me, and why being there is important to me. And then a few weeks later, I got a call like, "Hey, we want to invite you to the first season of Power."
Mm,
And so like that was huge, and who knows, like maybe that would have happened. Maybe they would have been interested in bringing me in because I had worked with Billy before. But if it wasn't for Allison, saying my name and me having that match in front of Billy seeing me wrestle, he hadn't seen me wrestle in like 5 years at that point. So
Mm.
having Billy see me wrestle again, having Billy hear me cut a promo again, it sold him on me. And so, we were able to come in and work together. And I think we've shown that we can be great rivals, but we are way better as a
Yeah.
team. And I think that we're very happy that Billy also saw that and has wanted to run with it as much as we have, and we're just very excited about what the future holds for us as a team.
Very cool, very cool, very cool. And while mentioning, I know you said you guys don't like to talk about the term when Marty sided with Thunder Rosa, but I did want to mention this because Allison, this is the first time I ever got to talk to you about this that match that you had with Thunder Rosa back at the NWA Hard Times 2020
Do
show.
you mean Hard Times?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
NWA Hard Times 2020 show. Like I was like even when that match happened, I remember right after I had tweeted out that I thought like probably at the end of the year that was gonna be one of those top 10 best matches of the year, and like even in December
Hmm.
2020, I remembered it, and I still remember it to this day. Why do you think everything sort of clicked for you with Thunder Rosa that day? Like, was it the hype of the pay per view? Like, you guys had an actual build to it that was like 3 months in the making that Marty was a part of as well. Like, sort of walk me through that, and how you felt about it then, and how you feel about it now, because I still think it holds up one of the best matches of that year, and I think you can place it within anywhere in that top 10 position, top 10 rank.
I really appreciate that. Um, Thinking back on Hard Times 2020, before literally the world shut down,
Yes, yes.
that was like, it's just so crazy. I am going to answer the question. I don't mean to sidetrack too
No, no,
much,
you
but I
good,
do
you good.
sidetrack sometimes. But it is crazy to think of like what a high we were on after that set of tapings
Yeah,
and not knowing it was our last set of tapings. That's just, it's wild to think about. But anyway,
and I say
I don't
NWA was
know.
rolling at that time.
It really
Oh
was.
my
And
gosh.
I just feel like it was like full steam ahead. And then
Yeah,
ugh, I don't even want to get into that.
yeah.
So anyway, I don't, I can never really pinpoint why anyone has chemistry really. Like it's, I guess that it factor all, no matter who you're talking about, whether I'm talking about an opponent that I have, whether I'm talking about like a best friend, or I'm looking at two people on TV that I just think are amazing wrestlers and they have so much good chemistry. Like you can't always pinpoint why. It's just they have it and it works together.
Mm,
And I think that Rosa and I both have a good, I don't even know how to put it. I don't know how to describe this. We both have a background in MMA.
right.
I think we both work a little snug, and I think that that's why we go well together. I think that there's a size difference that really worked out, especially in that match.
Mm,
I love working much smaller opponents. That's just like what I think my where my strengths lie, and I think that it was just a perfect combination of all of the right things, and the fact that we trusted each other and we also weren't afraid to like beat each other up.
right.
I don't know. That's there's no one answer. I just think it's a combination of a bunch of things why we work together well. And I have a few opponents like that throughout my career where it's like even some people I don't really like that much as people, I'm like, damn, we have good matches together. Like
Same.
there's just something there. I don't know why.
And I say,
And
oh, you go, Allison.
just for clarity, I'm not talking about Rosa,
Mm,
but just other people.
right. And I would say, and Marty, I really enjoyed the match that you had with Trisha Dora in the ROH Women's World Title Tournament.
Oh, thank
You
you.
had a fun match back at the GCW for the Culture Show back in 2020, which seems like a lifetime ago. The one with Willow, Faye
Oh
Jackson, and
God.
Devon Monroe. But
Yeah.
like I like going back to sort of. Oh, like on the same conversation with the For the Culture Show, I know I had read that you're Afro Latina and also representing Dominicans as well. You've been
I am.
you've been a woman of color in this business. Sort of touch on the strides that you've seen made as far as diversity in pro wrestling develop over the years, and sort of like of course more women getting involved, black wrestlers being spotlighted, Hispanic wrestlers, Asian wrestlers, people of different sexualities as well, all of that of which encompasses diversity. Like, have you seen those sort of developments over the past several years, and do you think there's more that can be done to improve it overall?
I will say, I actually had this conversation with AK, I think, very recently. Like when I started wrestling, as far as I know, I was the only Dominican woman in wrestling. And there might have been like one Dominican guy. And I'm talking about obviously in the US
Right.
or like in any major promotion in the US. Because there is a it's small, but there is a wrestling community in the Dominican Republic. And I've gotten a chance to wrestle there twice, which has been so incredible because it's the only times that my parents have been able to see me wrestle in person has been when I've gone to wrestle down there. And so when I first started, I was like, I was the only one or I was the only girl who looked like me. I was the only girl who had this hair. I was the only girl, who I was sort of an anomaly. And
Mm.
now, like, we were in the Shine locker room, and I looked around, and I was like, oh my God, she's Dominican, she's Dominican, she's Puerto Rican, like, she's Puerto Rican. And it was so incredible. It's so awesome to see how much they obviously there's always room for growth. Things are always going to hopefully continue to be where people feel comfortable, people feel like they can chase this dream. And that has always been very important to me is, where I come from, both the neighborhood that I grew up in, and the country, the culture that I grew up in. Women don't do stuff like this. Women don't become wrestlers. Like, this is a very odd thing. And so to get the opportunity to do that, and to feel like, people can see like this is possible. It doesn't matter where you come from. If the opportunities are there for you, they're gonna be there for you. If it's lo que tapa aquí, lo que tapa a ti, nadie te lo quita. Whatever's for you is always gonna be there for you. Because we've talked about, like, there's such a thing as like, you can't say like, oh, if you work really hard, all your dreams will come true, because that's not always true.
Right.
But I do believe that if something is for you, and you do work your ass off, and you do take those opportunities that are presented to you, you can make stuff happen for you. And so it's incredible. Like, the For the Culture show was awesome, and it was just such an incredible moment. And I'm so excited that there's more opportunities out there right now like that.
Yeah, for sure. And like even with me, like when I go to some of these shows, man, like just me personally, when I see more black people at these shows, like even the fans and even the wrestlers, I'm like, all right, this cool right here, man. I like seeing sort of
Oh
the
yeah.
diversity grow, man. It just like I think it's something out there for everybody, and it can attract any different type of ethnicity or race, and I think it's there's something to be attracted to in professional wrestling that can sort of touch everybody. So I think it's cool that we sort of seeing that development grow. And Allison, I know you've spoken in the past about wanting to see that gender pay gap in pro wrestling tighten up. Not even just solely in pro wrestling, but this is a topic that's heavily discussed, and debated on in various different fields. But like, what are some of like the off the cuff or like off the top things that you could think of, or strides that can be made that can be changed, or to improve on that, whether it be in pro wrestling or just in general?
About the pay gap specifically?
Yes.
I wish I had a good answer for that. I don't really.
Yeah,
I
I know.
mean,
So it's sort of like a loaded one to sort of like throw at somebody off the cuff. I know.
there was a sports team recently. I forget what maybe it was a soccer team, a women's soccer team or something that
Oh
they
yeah,
just
I know what
announced
you're talking
that they're
about.
going to be.
Yep. I
Was it
think
soccer?
I think it was either soccer or the
Yeah,
WNBA. It
soccer.
was one of those.
Where they're going
Soccer.
to be paid the same as the men's team, and it's like, to me it's that simple. I don't so that's
Yeah,
the
I know,
answer.
right?
Yeah, just give us more money. Especially like, I mean, since we're talking specifically about wrestling too, I know that there's a significant difference in what the top women are getting paid versus the top men. So I feel like it's just as simple as like, your top players should be getting the same pay.
Mhm.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah. And I know you guys had recently debuted for Maria Kanellis Bennett and Bobby Cruz's Women's Wrestling Army promotion. You won that debut show, and you retained your NWA Tag Team titles. Allison, how did it feel? I mean, how did you become aware, of the promotion and being approached about the opportunity? And Marty, for you, sort of recap that experience. I know Maria has said that something about talents like owning their match footage and a brand army page with exclusive content on it, and also speak to sort of the camaraderie that I'm sure was in the air at the event.
Yeah, Maria and Bobby Cruz both reached out to each of us and let us know what the deal was, what they had planned for Women's Wrestling Army, and they followed through with it. And it was a great first event. Um, I think you asked Marty more about the recap
Yeah.
of the events and whatnot. What was your question for me in particular? Just how we were approached?
Yeah, how you approached about the opportunity, and how you became aware of it.
It was pretty casual. I'm pretty sure that Bobby and Maria messaged me via text.
Hmm.
I mean, we've
Mhm.
known each other for a long time.
Right.
So I've known Maria since my Impact days, and I knew Bobby since I first worked for ROH, however long ago. So it was it's nice to be on that level with a lot of people now, where it's just a casual text or like DM.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a call, and I remember, and that is, like you said, it's awesome that they follow through with it, because there are so many ideas that get brought up, or so many plans
Yeah.
that people have, that for whatever reason, sometimes, things beyond their control that aren't able to be fulfilled. And so it was really awesome to have that initial call with them. And Maria, especially, I think Maria being like, hey, I have this idea, it's crazy, but what do you think? And so I think the energy was awesome, because a lot of people, everybody who's there was chosen to be there. You
Yeah,
know, people were there. Um, a lot of the people had worked previously with Ring of Honor. Some people were brand new to that circle of the Women of Honor. You know, that we had just been working with for the last few months when we were doing Ring of Honor, and it was awesome for me. It was really special too because my sister lives nearby, so she was able to come and bring my niece.
that's cool.
And my niece has only seen me wrestle in person, I think, once before, and she's at a great age where like she's 8, so she's at like a great age where she doesn't like wrestling, but she loves to watch her auntie wrestle. Like she's not like she's like the biggest girly girl in the world. She doesn't really care about wrestling until we're wrestling, and she was so upset with Holodead. She literally wanted to fight Holodead. Like she was ready to go like throw down. So it was awesome. It was such a great experience. It was such a great locker room. And we definitely had a great time with the main event, which was also really really special. And like it's such an honor. I know I can speak for both of us saying this is such an honor for Maria and Bobby to entrust us with that position on the card. You know, we're the main event of the first ever show that they are holding. So
Yeah,
it's very very special.
as a
And so it was awesome. We had a great time.
Marty, going back to you at the Empower show, was there like any semblance of a dollhouse reunion backstage? I know Awesome Khan was there and Terrence Terrell was there. I think the only two you were missing was Rebel and Mia Yim, and Mia's back out here now. As she finished up her time with WWE and Impact Wrestling. So like, what was there any semblance of a dollhouse reunion backstage?
We did. I have an awesome picture with Kong. And then I have like a picture that's like me, Kong, AK. And then we have like it was awesome. It was such a good reunion. Kong is awesome. Like people, if you, I mean, I think people that saw Glow kind of got to see a little bit
Yeah,
more of her
she's a
personality.
great
But
actor.
Kong, oh my God,
She's a
she
great
is.
actor.
The thing is, like I don't even know that she was acting for a lot of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
it's
She
true.
is so funny. She is just such a funny like I I have only had one. I think she's the only person that has ever made me break character on like a live recording, and it was her because it was like 1 second, like me and Mia's faces, both of us were just like we have nothing, like we don't even know what to say right now because Kong is so funny. It's been great to work with Taryn as well at NWA. I'm really glad to see that Taryn's getting back in the
Yeah,
ring because unfortunately that is part of why things started to kind of split to the dollhouse was due to her retiring.
yeah.
So it's really great to see her come back and see her like reinvent herself at NWA and once again like this is just like we were talking about before, that's a bridge that she cultivate that kept that's a bridge that she didn't burn and when she left Impact. So building that relationship with Billy, so it is great to have her at Impact. And uh you know never say never. If you don't you might see us someday,
Uh oh.
me, AK,
Uh oh.
Taryn. You never know what reincarnation, the 100th reincarnation of the dollhouse. Just knowing that AK is by my side, we can we the third member, we can figure out who that third member would be, but we'll see.
Say Allison might want to watch out. Marty might she might side she might side against you again. Might want to watch out, man.
No,
Okay.
no, like I said, we say this all the time. Allison is not my first, but she is my last tag team
There
partner.
we go.
So if we're going to have a third, that's what I'm saying. You never know if there will be a third added at some point, but
To the
no, like
hex. To
to
the
the
hex.
hex. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yes, that's what I mean.
I know there's a history with both of you in Shimmer. Like thinking around like started around like 2011, 2013 on forward. Allison, going to you first. Like talk to me about your experiences working with Dave Prazak and what he's contributed to the independent scene, and Marty, same for you.
Shimmer has always been a blast. It's always 2 weekends out of the year that we have so looked forward to because we get to see all of our friends in one spot.
Mm,
Well, maybe not every single one every time, but a lot of friends that we didn't normally get to see, especially the girls from overseas. So it
mm,
was always a very special time. And just really cool matchups that you don't like. We had girls from Australia, girls from England, girls from Japan, matchups that you wouldn't just get to casually see happen on this weekend.
mm.
And all of the fans, it was a very Berwyn Eagles Club, if you've ever been there, was a very intimate setting. So we got to know a lot of those fans over the years. So it just became, I'm not even gonna say it became a family because it's so cheesy to say that, but But it was, there was a lot of camaraderie there and a lot of special memories. We would hang out after the shows and usually go out to eat at least or hang out at the hotel. And I know Marty and I didn't always get to hang out afterwards because we usually had to like get back home and we were in driving distance. So we weren't flying the next morning. So there were some times where we would have to leave Sunday night. So we didn't always get to partake in the festivities, but it's still, there was still a lot of shenanigans or shimnanigans, as
Shenanigans.
call
Shenanigans.
that would go on
Shenanigans.
that weekend.
For us too, it was Prazak. Prazak will always have a very special place in both of our hearts in Shimmer because Prazak was also the first person that booked us as a team.
That's cool.
When we challenged for the when we did a tournament for the NWA titles, that was our fourth and fifth match ever. Third or fourth, I always forget.
Third and
Third and fourth,
fourth, third and
third and
fourth
fourth, yeah,
tag
third and
match.
fourth tag match ever. But the first person who gave us that opportunity was Prazak, and right away it was for the Shimmer tag team championships. But so we are very very thankful, and just for everything he's done for women's wrestling in general. But it was just such fun, incredible weekends that we definitely looked forward to every year. Like any time that I had to miss was just so annoying. It was so frustrating because I really wanted to be there. And he was very understanding of that as well. He never held it against you if you had, for whatever reason, couldn't make it. So that's also very pretty awesome. And we have I know both of us are very thankful for the opportunities that Dave gave us.
Oh yeah, and of course, I don't know how this slipped my mind, but I can't mention Shimmer, without Allison Danger as well. Very excellent coach. I know she did some. She had a sort of a brief stint up in WWE at the Performance Center, but like from all accounts from people that was like, sending her messages and stuff like that after her time with the company ended. She did a lot of great stuff, and I know she's very heavily involved in Shimmer as well. So can't mention Shimmer without Allison Danger as well. Just wanted to make sure I threw that out there. But Marty
And Lexi Fife.
and Lexi Fife,
And
yes,
Lexi
for
Fife. You
sure.
gotta, yeah, you can't
So
talk Shimmer
yeah,
without talking about Lexi and Danger.
100%, 100%. But Marty, you were in the Mae Young Classic first round match with Rachel Ellering and Allison. You were 2018 first round match against Mia Yim. As you two look back, now being multiple years removed from it now, did it have like any sort of big impact in regards to your personal careers and putting more buzz around your names once you got back to the independent scene?
I
I
definitely,
think
oh, go ahead.
I think for me it was cool to be able to represent the Dominican Republic on such a big stage. That was obviously uh, that was a very proud moment for my family. It's a very proud moment for me. I think like looking back on it, I wish that I was the athlete that I am today when I did it, back then, because I don't know that I was as comfortable in my skin as I am now, and
Mm,
knew who I was. And I think that obviously affected me a lot in the tournament, and what came after, and or what didn't come after because of that. So I definitely, it was awesome. It was an incredible experience, and very happy I got to live that. Very happy to have added my name to the history books for that. But definitely, I know how much I've grown since then, and that's also very awesome for me to look back on.
It was my match. So Marty was the first year at the Mayan Classic, and I was the second year.
mm.
And my match with Mia Yim, it was a very important match for me because it was my first match back after
Oh
8 months of being
yeah,
out.
I remember that. Oh yeah.
Yes. I was out with blood clots in my lungs, which is just a wild thing to say.
How you feeling now?
And
You
that was,
like you feeling like everything okay? Like everything.
as far as I'm aware, yes.
Okay, cool.
As far as I'm aware, after many years of testing and trying to make sure it wasn't something that was genetic, and as far as we know, it's not.
That's good. That's good.
Um, yeah, everything should be good. Knock on wood. But that match was very important to me because it was my first match back in 8 months. I was very nervous for that reason. I have faith in my abilities, but
Right.
after 8 months, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be blown up. I'm not gonna, it's gonna be terrible. And I wasn't really able to train because I was on blood thinners and I was on strong blood thinners. So I couldn't risk getting busted open. I couldn't risk getting hit in the head because if your brain starts bleeding when you're on blood thinners, it might not stop.
Mm,
So I couldn't just be like training that whole time, or I had to be really careful. So I didn't actually get in the ring to start training until I want to say 2 weeks out from the tournament, and those were my first bumps since that time. And like this is August, so or like maybe late July. So my first bump since January, and they sucked. They were terrible.
mm.
I remember just like getting through that training session and being like, oh, this is brutal. And even my friend that was training with me, he was even like, yeah, this is a little rough. This is a little rough.
Mm,
And so it was like, it was just such a great moment to go out there and actually have a great match. And
yeah.
I really give Mia all the credit for that because I was like, damn, this is feeling like, it feels like I've been out for 8 months, you know? And I was so fortunate to have been put with someone who I could basically sleepwalk through a match with. You know, Mia and I, we have the hashtag Frenemy World Tour. We've been friends and enemies since she broke my nose in AIW back in 2011, 2012, something like that. So we've had so many matches together all around the world. We wrestled in China, you know,
Mm,
and we wrestled in the cage matches. We wrestled in fans bring the weapons matches. So to have her in my first round, that was such a blessing. And I don't know that I would have had as good of a match as I did if I was put with anyone else for my first match back. And you initially asked if it affected us at all, and there's no way that it didn't.
right.
I did sell a lot of merch after that, so I will say yes.
I say, man, honestly, you a soldier after that, man. I'm glad, of course, glad that you healthy first and foremost. I'm pretty sure, 100% sure Marty is as well. That you know healthy and all that good stuff. That's very cool that you were able to overcome that. But lastly here, before we wrap it up, I do want to thank you guys, for taking the time. Of course, like I said, it is late, and you guys are gracious enough with your time to come talk to me. But Allison, I did want to end this with you. I know you did get a chance to compete on AEW at their Full Gear buy-in show against Serena Deeb back in 2020. What was the sort of the reception you got from those in AEW about that match, and was there potential to do more with the company as there was that positive reaction from the fans on on social media after the match was over?
Actually, I want to ask you a question now that you bring that
Uh oh.
up. Just because you said that, it's just interesting. I just think people's perceptions is so interesting.
Okay.
So like your what was your perception of it sounds like your perception was positive from social media. That social media was all positive after that.
Now, I can't say all of social media, but like just from what I saw, like I did see a great deal of people that were
Yeah.
like very happy with the match, and like it was, you had your fair share of sign Allison and stuff like that. I saw that a couple times, and a couple people I still
Yeah, yeah,
follow to
yeah.
this day was saying that. So yeah, but to answer your question, yes, from what I saw, it was like mostly a positive reception, and like everybody was kind of bigging up the match.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that there have to be haters out there always, no
Oh
matter
yeah,
what. Like
oh
that's
yeah,
gonna exist.
that's
But
yeah.
the reason I ask is because that was my perception too.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy because I'm like, yeah, my perception was that I remember going to my Twitter after that match and it was blown up, of course. And I didn't see one negative thing. Granted, they might have been saying bad things about me without tagging me, but I didn't see one bad thing. I wasn't vanity searching either. I will go on the record and say I don't do that. I don't have time for that. I'm busy. But, I looked at my mentions and they were all positive and I was like, what is, I don't know. I'm just used to like with when I was on Impact, for example, there are
Mhm.
always people out there just saying like terrible
Yeah,
things.
somebody always got
And
something to say.
yeah, and I feel like the girls in Impact get it so bad for some reason. And obviously, everyone does. I know the girls at AEW and WWE do as well, but for some reason, sometimes I feel like the girls at Impact just get it so bad. So,
Mhm.
with that being my experience, I was like expecting, just some negativity, and I actually didn't see any. So maybe I didn't dig deep enough, but I was like, oh, this seems really positive. I remember Tony Khan after my match said, "Great match, happy birthday," because that was my birthday
Oh, look
weekend.
at that.
And every time I don't know why I made him sound like Vince McMahon because he does not have that voice at all. But that's just like my professional, like boss voice. Great match, happy birthday. And every time I saw him, he was like, great match, great match. So everyone that I talked to, I mean, of course, my close friends, like they had critiques for me because
Right.
that's what I expect. Um, I remember a couple people. I'm like, give me some like I don't want to say negative feedback, but give me a real critique.
Yeah.
Like what could be better? And the real ones know. They know that I don't just want to like smoke blown up my ass.
Right.
But as far as like the overall reception, like everyone seemed so positive and happy about it. So yeah, that's all I can really say is it seemed positive. The reason I ask is because sometimes people will be like, "Oh, this was a banger. This was great. This was da da da,"
Yeah.
but then you'll watch it and you're like, "Really?" I don't know, like, or the other way
No,
around,
I
where
get it.
people are like saying this was terrible, and then you watch it, this is really good. Like, I don't know, your perception is your reality, but that doesn't mean it's everyone's reality, which is why I was just
Yeah.
curious. Because a lot of people, the worst is when people are like, "Why aren't you signed to this place? Why aren't you signed to that place?"
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know,
know. I
right?
don't care. I'm not in the office. So like, But it is weird when people are like, yeah, everyone loved you. This went great. You had a great reaction. Why aren't you signed? I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not the right person to ask.
Yeah, like I would say one of those questions I often see people get asked, wrestlers get asked, is like, well, why aren't you signed here? And I'm like, I'm like, no, I'm like,
uh,
what are they supposed to, what are they supposed to say to that? Like,
No, the best is when they're like, when are you gonna come here? When are you gonna come to WWE? When are you gonna come to AEW? I'm like, are you there?
can
Do
you
you have
can
an
you get
in?
me in the door?
can you book me?
Can you open the back door for me?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny right there. But Marti Allison, again, man, I want to thank you both for taking the time to do this. It was great talking to you. Y'all are cool as hell. Let the people let the people know where they can follow you, where they can get your merch. I think Allison, I think I saw that you do some Twitch streaming as well. So like anything you guys got, make sure you plug it in. I'm gonna make sure to put all the links in the description of this video.
Thank you. AllysinK.com. Yes, I have Twitch. I have Patreon. I have OnlyFans. I have a website with a bunch of our merch on it. And Marty's is
MartiBelle.com, and that's MartiBelle. There's an E at the end of Bell. MartiBelle.com, and then we both have Patreons, and it's patreon.com/MartiBelle or patreon.com/AllysinK. I think with Allison's website, it's a little easier to get to all the to get to all her links. With mine, it's a
yeah.
little bit more confusing, but my Instagram is what I use the most, and I think there is pretty easy to
You have
get
a
to
link
where.
tree, right?
Yeah.
Hit that link tree.
Hit the
Hit
link
that
tree.
link
Hit the
tree.
link tree. There you go, man. Go support them. Go show them love. Go buy all their merch. There you go. That's how you do it. Go support them. Make sure you go support the hacks. But there it is, people. I'm Andrew Thompson and the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. Signing off with Marti Belle and Allysin Kay. And we are out. Peace.
Bye.